Grazie ragazzi, welcome and benvenuto to Cannabis Scienza Live on LinkedIn. We are back again this week with our weekly appointment with the science around medical cannabis. And today we go on with our weekly educational series dedicated to double-blinded, placebo-controlled clinical trials on cannabinoids. Indeed, 2 weeks ago, together with my fantastic colleague Viola Brugnatelli, who couldn't join us today due to prior commitments, we started our exploration of the landscape and trends of clinical trials involving medical cannabis and cannabinoids worldwide. So, to recap briefly, last educational session, we started with a brief overview on the introduction of medical cannabis in Western medicine. And this was due thanks to the pioneering work of Sir William O'Shaughnessy. That was an Irish physician and pharmacologist who, during the 1830s, traveled to India. There, he discovered the therapeutic properties of cannabis, and upon his return to United Kingdom, he introduced medical cannabis to Western doctors and so also to Western medicine. At the time, cannabis was resulted effective against a wide array of condition pathologies such as epilepsy, chronic pain, and so on. And for this reason, cannabis was included in Western pharmacopoeias. Moving forward, we also examined last time the the range of cannabis products available on the market, undergoing clinical trials. These products can be divided into 3 categories. We have prescription medication that are approved by FDA or EMA. So they are authorized medical products. Then we have extraction products without regulatory approval for specific uses. So, and they are subject to varying regulation across countries. And ultimately, there are whole plant products available. And their accessibility is also contingent on the varying laws adopted by each state. So, as we can see, only a small number of cannabinoid products have received market authorization, and so the off-label use is very common. In these three categories: false product with a false product that have THC dominant profile, a CBD dominant profile, or a product with a balanced ratio of THC and CBD. Then we have seen that analyzing all trials conducted so far involving cannabis and cannabinoids, a significant portion of the studies centers around pain. Then we have a large number of trials focusing on multiple sclerosis and epilepsy, and this is not surprising considering that the only 2 cannabis-based medicines are Sativex and Epidiolex that are approved for multiple sclerosis and epilepsy respectively. Then we find anxiety, and we can see that there is ongoing investigation into the potential of cannabis and cannabinoids in managing oncologic complication by this kind of cancer such as glioblastoma. And this indicates a growing interest in this field. Then in the last lesson, I showed you this slide that show all the trials by country, and from this slide, it's easy to know that the majority of trials took place in USA, United Kingdom, and Canada. Then we analyzed all the trials by intervention, and we have seen that the majority of trials here on the left, you can see that the majority of trials have been conducted with both THC and CBD, followed by CBD alone, Sativex, dronabinol, and so on. In the right side, you can see the trials with the CBD alone as the intervention, and they focus especially on, of course, on epilepsy, followed by anxiety, cancer, and other conditions. THC alone was tested mainly against pain, especially chronic pain, and this is not surprising. Then we have PTSD, Alzheimer, cancer, and other conditions. And analyzing trials with both THC and CBD, we can see that they focus mainly on pain, followed by multiple sclerosis and other conditions. Then last time I showed you this slide that analyzed all the completed phase 3 clinical trials. And we can see that more than the 80% of clinical trials involve Sativex or Epidiolex, with the company behind being Jazz Pharmaceuticals. And this demonstrates that taking phase 3 trials is a very expensive and lengthy process, as so only big pharmaceutical companies can undertake this kind of clinical trials. So now let's start to analyze the all trials by condition, and obviously we started from pain. That is the condition that, as we have seen, gained the largest focus on clinical trials with cannabis and cannabinoid. Just to remember, there are two kinds of pain: chronic pain and acute pain. Acute pain refers to a sudden onset of pain, often associated with a particular injury or illness. It can last from few moments to few weeks and tend to have a well-defined endpoint. Common triggers of acute pain can be various conditions, various pathologies, trauma, burns, fracture, and so on. In contrast, chronic pain is a pain that persists over 3 months or longer, and unlike acute pain, chronic pain may lack a productive purpose, and it's very difficult to identify the underlying causes of chronic pain. In any case, chronic pain is associated with conditions like arthritis, fibromyalgia, migraines, nerve damages, and so on. Last time I showed also this slide that show the term more used linked to pain regarding cannabis and cannabinoid. And as we can see, the most used terms related to pain are neuropathic pain and chronic pain. And this reflects the fact that these conditions are better addressed with cannabinoids compared to other kind of pain, such as acute pain. So let's start our analysis of clinical trials. And in this table, like in the following table, we have summarized the most important clinical trials by condition, in this case, chronic pain. It's important to note that this table and the following table do not include all the clinical trials so far conducted with chronic pain, for various reasons. For example, not all clinical trials are registered in clinicaltrials.gov. That is the website from which we extracted the majority of data. Anyway, analyzing the trials conducted with synthetic analogs of THC or THC alone, we can see that this trial started a long time ago, during the 1970s. They focus especially on cancer pain and neuropathic pain, and they have we can see good results with the majority of clinical trials. The only trials with the negative result is the last one in red, and as you can see, in this trial, only 7 people were treated with 20 milligram of oral THC. The condition was neuropathic pain, but maybe the small number of subjects included in this trial might account for this negative result. But anyway, the trials with synthetic THC and synthetic analogs of THC show that they are quite effective in treating chronic pain. Analyzing the trials with full spectrum cannabis products and extract, we can see that they are effective in treating various kinds of pain, such as neuropathic pain, chemotherapy-induced pain, peripheral and central neuropathies, spinal injuries, arthritis, low back pain, and so on. The only trial analyzed that was not effective was this trial conducted in 2010. They used THC plus CBD spray. The number of patients analyzed was 30. The condition was neuropathic diabetes. And also in this case, maybe the small number of subjects did not, the small number of patients did not permit precise indication. Anyway, the results in this case are negative compared to the other trials that showed positive result with the full spectrum cannabis. Also, CBD was extensively analyzed with for chronic pain, and it seems not to be effective in addressing this condition. Indeed, all the trials conducted, both with a small number or a larger number of patients, concluded that CBD showed no significant analgesic effect in this condition, such as neuropathic pain, allodynia, and chemotherapy. We can move forward and go to analyze the trials with acute pain. In this case, when using THC or synthetic THC analogs, only one of these analogs, that is levonorgestrel, was effective in treating post-operative pain. This is a synthetic analog of THC that was administered by intramuscular administration. And as we can see, he used few side effects such as dizziness, but the other analyzed product was not effective against various kind of acute pain, especially post-operative pain. Differently, in the lower section of this slide, you can see that differently from synthetic THC, full spectrum cannabis induced analgesic effects in post-operative pain, in inflammatory pain, and in experimental pain. So, differently from THC, full cannabis spectrum seems to be more effective in treating acute pain. Moreover, we were not able to find any trial with CBD alone against acute pain, and so the data with the CBD have not been reported. So we can conclude that while synthetic THC analogs and THC alone were effective against chronic pain, they failed to give positive results in the context of acute pain. But very intriguingly, full spectrum cannabis have demonstrated efficacy, demonstrated analgesic effects, both with acute pain and chronic pain. But with chronic, yes, for both kind of pain. So also remaining in the realm of pain, we analyzed also trial with the spinal cord injury. Just to make a context for this condition, a spinal cord injury refers to a damage to the spinal cord, resulting in impairment or loss of function of the spinal cord. So there is the spinal cord. We know that they play a pivotal role in transmitting signals from the brain to the periphery, and so the spinal cord injuries can result from can be very painful and dangerous condition. They can result from various causes such as traumatic events, infection, cancer, some kind of cancer, and so on. And then, people with spinal cord injury may experience paralysis, loss of sensation, and chronic neuropathic pain. There are few trials with this condition. We can see that both THC alone and full spectrum cannabis was effective in reducing pain sensation in patients with the spinal cord injury. And as you can see here in the last column, CBD alone seems not to have also CBD seems to have analgesic effects in this condition. But it is important to note that in these cases, the small number of subjects included in these trials cannot, due to the small number of patients, we cannot draw definitive conclusion. So, making a summary, we can see that that full spectrum cannabis is effective against chronic pain, against acute pain, and also against specific conditions such as spinal cord injury. Synthetic THC is also effective against chronic pain, but not in acute pain. CBD is not so effective against pain, even if in particular condition such as spinal cord injury, the CBD can induce some analgesic effects. Then I prepared also tables on appetite and antiemetic effect, but maybe we can see this in the following lessons, because now I want to focus the attention on trials regarding cannabis and cancer. And we can start by saying that most of the studies on cannabinoids and cancer regarded palliative cares, such as the control of pain, as we have previously seen when we analyzed the pain condition. So cancer-related pain was addressed by cannabis and cannabinoid, but there have been also some clinical trials aimed at exploring the potential anti-tumor activity of cannabinoid. This was due to the fact that in preclinical experiments, both on cells or in vivo studies, cannabinoids such as THC and CBD showed very powerful and important anti-proliferative effects against various kinds of cancer. And even this has not been easily translated in humans. Some clinical trials had shown promising results with cannabis and cannabinoids, and this was done especially with a condition that is glioblastoma. Glioblastoma, or glioblastoma multiforme is a type of malignant cancer, brain cancer that originating from the glial cells of the brain. This is a very aggressive kind of tumor, and there are no specific medication for this condition. The result when synthetic THC was analyzed in patients with glioblastoma, we have seen very important results. For example, in this trial of 2006, on a small number of patients, yes, but it's not easy to find, luckily, a great number of patients with this condition. We can see that there were an inhibition of tumor proliferation and a decrease in the tumor markers. Also, regarding full spectrum cannabis, we have seen an improvement of 1 year survival and an improvement of the quality of life of patients. Both products were well tolerated, with side effects, with common side effects such as dry mouth, tiredness, dizziness, drowsiness, impaired motor coordination. The result of these trials are quite important. In fact, thanks to these results of these trials, the FDA have approved the use of cannabinoids as orphan drugs for glioblastoma. Just to remember, an orphan drug is a drug developed to treat rare medical condition, often referred to as orphan disease or rare disease. Orphan drugs are intended to address the therapeutic needs of patients who are affected by this rare condition for which there is a lack of interest by big pharmaceutical companies. As you can see by this slide, cannabidiol was designed as an orphan drug for glioblastoma and glioma. Also, the THC was designed as orphan drug for glioma, and both CBD and THC together was designed as orphan drug against glioblastoma multiforme. So, analyzing all the trials in this condition, especially various kind of pain and cancer-related pain, and also analyzing the anti-tumor activity of cannabinoid, we can see that THC is effective in treating chronic pain and spinal cord injuries. CBD was effective especially against cancer, and indeed we have seen that it was designed as an orphan drug against glioblastoma. Both products, THC plus CBD, were effective against chronic pain and acute pain, and also against cancer. Always when we say cancer, we say glioblastoma, because this is the only condition that for which we have positive results with cannabinoid, even if they are analyzed also in ongoing trials for various kind of condition. Another conclusion that we can draw from this table is that maybe full spectrum products are more effective in treating the various conditions analyzed. Indeed, the full spectrum cannabis was effective against acute pain, chronic pain, spinal cord injuries. Here you can see other conditions that are not analyzed so far. But maybe if we had time, and we have 5 minutes, so we can analyze also the antiemetic effect and the appetite-inducing effects. Indeed, I go back. Yes, regarding appetite, the induction of appetite, we can see that in very debilitating, that in patients with very debilitating conditions such as cancer or HIV, both THC and full spectrum cannabis were effective in stimulating appetite. They also induced weight gain that was significantly increased compared to placebo. And these products were generally well tolerated, with few common side effects induced. And regarding appetite, this is not very surprising. Indeed, this kind of trial that also started a long time ago. The first was around 1976. They started to analyze the role of cannabinoids in inducing appetite, because it has been shown that the endocannabinoid system is involved in appetite stimulation. Indeed, for example, we know that cannabis can exert a kind of appetite-inducing effect called munchies. And so the fact that cannabis stimulated appetite was a thing that was known since ancient time. Now we know that the endocannabinoid system is associated with the so-called hedonistic hunger, that is the seek for the pleasure related to the ingested food. So it is not surprising that a large number of trials with positive results have been conducted in this condition. And also the antiemetic effects of cannabinoids have been extensively studied. And also in this case, the cannabinoid system has been shown to play a significant role in regulating vomiting and emesis. And this is because CB1 receptor are expressed in the regions that controls emesis, such as the dorsal vagal complex. The antiemetic effects have been demonstrated in preclinical studies, but also in a large number of trials. Indeed, the THC was able to reduce vomiting in patients with the various kind of cancer, such as sarcoma, gynecological tumors, testicular cancer, and so on. You can see here the last one, the trial on ovary tumors, did not show positive results, but maybe this was due to the fact that the THC was effective as a metoclopramide, but not sufficiently effective. So also for antiemetic, so also in trials analyzing the antiemetic effects of synthetic THC, we can see positive results. The same with full spectrum cannabis. And for example, we can see that here, this trial conducted in 1981 with 8 patients did not show positive results, but also in this case, as I have previously showed, the small number of patients probably did not permit conclusive results. So we can conclude also with these two conditions. We can say that THC has appetite-inducing and antiemetic effects. CBD seems not to have this kind of effect. Full spectrum cannabis and THC plus CBD also showed antiemetic and appetite-inducing effects. Anyway, all this trial lead to the approval of cannabis-based product for some kind of condition. For example, dronabinol, nabilon, and synthetic THC analogs have been approved by FDA to treat anorexia associated with weight loss, nausea and vomiting associated with cancer chemotherapy, or with patients with HIV and so on. So we have seen that a large number of trials have been conducted so far in conditions such as pain, appetite induction, and vomiting, with positive results, especially with the THC and full spectrum cannabis, to a less extent also with the CBD. So we arrived to the end of this lesson. I would like to remember to all of you that all this table and all the trials also regarding other conditions can be found in our handbook, Principle of Clinical Cannabinology, that you can find on our website, cannabisciencia.com. And so see you next time for this lesson, for the continuation of this lesson regarding double-blinded, placebo-controlled trials with cannabis and cannabinoids. Thank you for your attention, and see you next time. Goodbye.